in retrospect, I guess it's fitting that the Red Sox finished their season by losing 4 in a row after taking 3 out of 4 in a series against the Yankees in New York. I say fitting because it's pretty much a microcosm of their season that was, in which they would maybe win a few games in a row, get your hopes up, and then lose like 5 or 6 in a row. I mean, this was pretty much your 2015 Red Sox in a nutshell. So I'm going to take a look at this year's team, as painful as it is, and actually admit that they weren't that bad in the second half of the season. Well, particularly mid-August on. They were actually terrible shortly after the All-Star break, but this year's team was pretty terrible. I mean, without a doubt. And the fact that they even had a chance to finish 500 is almost a testament to how well they played at the end of the season, which is what makes it so perplexing and so frustrating, especially when you look at the overall playoff picture. This team finished maybe 7 or 8 games out of the playoffs, even after all of that horrible performance. The American League was terrible outside of the Blue Jays and the Royals. I mean, you could have made the playoffs with 85, 86 wins, and this team almost got to that and just kind of sucked at the end of the season as per usual. But it's annoying, especially when you look at the Yankees, who I don't think had as good of a roster. I really don't. I mean, I guess they did in some ways. The Yankees had better players, but they had better players 10 years ago. A lot of those players like Teixeira, A-Rod, Carlos Beltran, yeah, they would have made an all-star team a few years back, but, who expected them to be as good as they are now? And, again, even the Yankees finished with 87 wins. Last year, the Yankees finished with 84 wins and missed the playoffs. So, I mean, it just goes to show you how things change from year to year. And had the Red Sox even gotten just one, mediocre to good starter, anybody in the offseason, maybe they would be in a position to fight for the second wild card. But, again, it is what it is. The fact that I can even have the playoff argument is kind of a testament to how well the Red Sox played at the end of the season, because they were not even near that for most of the season. Most of the season they played like 400 baseball. They played awful. It even seemed worse than that. This team was bad. Okay, when I say bad, the 2012 Red Sox their record ended up being bad, but throughout the season they were at least watchable. Like, there have been some mediocre teams through history, not just the Red Sox, that are watchable. They even managed to win a few games. How does this team go as long as they win without winning 4 games in a row? Yeah, they finally won 4 or 5 games in a row at the end of the season. In fact, their longest winning streak was this past week when they won 6 in a row. So, again, it's annoying because you feel like this team has it in them. You feel like there's enough talent on the roster to at least be respectable, at least win 86, 87 games, which is apparently all you need to win. Back when I started following the Red Sox in 2003, you had to win like 95 games to win the division, 94 to win the wild card. Now you just show up and be above 500, you're still in the race. I mean, it would have been nice to be in the race. And they were in the race to an extent a couple times, which is also frustrating. When this team needed to win the most, that's when they pretty much just didn't care. I mean, that's all I got out of it. They were within a few games of the Yankees way back, in like beginning of July. They had a chance to at least pull to within a few games. And, of course, it could have been better, but they, of course, dropped some other games along the way because, God forbid, they win 3 in a row. So, anyway, I think they lost 2 out of 3 to the Yankees. I don't know. The whole series was just kind of lackadaisical. It was like a series you had to win. You had to sweep it. You had to take at least 2 out of 3 against the Yankees to be relevant. So, instead of being somewhat relevant, you went into the All-Star game being like 5, 6 games out of the division. And then, as if that's not bad enough, they kick you in the crotch again and lose like 6 in a row on the road. So then they're like 8 or 9 games out. And you go into the trade deadline like 12 games out of the division going, all right, well, that was fun. Even before that, like I keep saying, this team was just so irritating. And you got to go back to last year to an extent, because how do you get rid of John Lester and John Lackey and just expect to be okay? Like, I always hated the philosophy and just get Rick Porcello, he's decent. Okay, even if that was true, it's like you could have kept at least Lackey, at least Lester. Like, I don't know why the Red Sox acted like the Oakland A's and traded 2 of their best pitchers just for the heck of it. And then they traded Cespedes for Porcello, and it's like, obviously Detroit would do that deal. It worked out for them, even though they didn't end up finishing the playoffs either. It's annoying because you look at this season, and you want to tell me that if John Lackey starts those games instead of Rick Porcello, that they don't make the playoffs, even with this roster? Even last year's team is confusing because they brought back a lot of the same players and did much worse than the 2013 team that won it all. So I've always thought there's something wrong with this team. Just something. I don't know what. Because similar to Washington, and obviously Washington had more talent, but like, how do you bring together a team of players who usually produce and they're all just terrible? Like, there's got to be some kind of X factor there. Because you bring this team together in 2013, they win the World Series. You bring them back for 2014, they finish last. You bring some other players in this year, they finish last again. But at least this year it made sense, because they didn't get any pitching. And I'm sorry, but if you don't even try to fix the rotation, you're going to finish with 78 wins. At the end of the day, I get back to the end of the season, which was kind of a disappointment. And yes, I realize that the games didn't mean anything, the last 4 or 5 games of the season. But once again, the Red Sox, with literally their last chance, their final act, to kind of prove to the fans and to themselves that they can still win baseball games, and they're still a caring and devoted team that has a chance to at least be respectable. And of course, they crap themselves again. They lose 4 in a row. Just by the way, they scored like 4 runs in 4 games. And it just kind of, you sweep it under the rug, you say, whatever, it's the end of the season. But it is discouraging. And it's discouraging because it happened all season long. How many times did we think they were going to turn it around? And it was just never there. And, I'm going to say something that probably a lot of people don't agree with, but I actually think they should keep Hanley Ramirez. Because say what you want about Hanley, the guy could hit. He kind of didn't hit as well when he came back from the DL, but he didn't even play all that many games. He still had 19 home runs, which is second on the team, even still. And I realize Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, and some other players will have a place on the team, but you still need more hitters, and you need Hanley Ramirez, in my opinion, because I can see it now, and I think they will trade him, unfortunately. I think they'll probably get nothing back. They'll trade Hanley Ramirez somewhere. He'll hit really well, and we'll all be going, oh, gee, our outfielders are hitting 200. What now? It's going to really be annoying. But I'll do another rant later about what the Red Sox need to do to get better in 2016. I'm not even going to go there yet, because I'm ready to be disappointed. It's pretty obvious what they need. They need a good bullpen. They need really good starters, at least 1 or 2. I mean, David Price probably isn't going to happen. I'm just to the point now, these last few off seasons, the Red Sox ownership has gone, whatever. So it's hard for me to really get invested in all these free agents that they could get when they're not going to get them. And if they do, they'll overpay for some 3rd or 4th best free agent that won't amount to much. So, I don't know. I don't know. It's discouraging. It's discouraging from the point of view that the team, the ownership and everybody actually got together and thought that this team had a chance to be good at all. With no starting pitching, just getting Porcello and Wade Miley and throwing it together and see what happens. Like, really? That's how you run an organization? It just always seemed lazy to me. If they had won more games, it would have been a fluke, and they didn't. And I'm kind of glad they didn't, because it shows ownership that, you can't just lazily put a team together and make a winning team. You have to at least try a little bit. Keeping Koji as the closer, and he got injured. Well, he is like 40 years old, and his production was decent, but again, at some point, you're going to have to get a new closer. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to try a little bit. Same with the starting rotation. You're going to have to get some aces, since you seem to not want Lester and Lackey. I guess they weren't good enough for you, so instead we got Porcello and Miley, so woohoo. And Clay Buchholz, who can't stay on the field, but we'll keep him around for some arbitrary reason, because reasons. But yeah, 2015 Red Sox, a season that I'm not too fond of. I mean, I'm encouraged that they turned it around a little bit at the end, but even that was kind of soured by the fact that they didn't really give a crap the last series of the season. See, I don't even give a crap. I'm just going to say whatever I want. But yeah, 2016 Red Sox, I guess I have to say they're looking up. I'll be a little positive. Dave Dombrowski does encourage me, because he's not someone who's been with this ownership group for long, so he doesn't have the same kind of lackadaisical attitude that Ben Cherington had. So at the very least, he'll do something. I'm not sure if I'll agree with it, but he'll do something to maybe get a good pitcher in here. And maybe we'll see a much better team next year. But that's it for me. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And let's go Sox.